I'm Blaise Misztal, JINSA's Vice President for Policy, and I'm joined by the Randi and Charles Wax Senior Fellow here at JINSA, John Hanna. Our President and CEO, Mike Makovsky, is traveling to the region right now, and I'm sure we'll have even greater insights next week. But let's stay focused on this week. John, the week started off with momentous celebrations, President Trump speaking in front of the Knesset in Israel, hostages coming home, and a celebratory air and a feeling of peace was possible. Peace had come to Israel. The war had ended. But as we're recording this on Friday, I think that feeling has started to shift. Where are we exactly in the process of this ceasefire deal, and how well is the implementation going?
Yeah, well, thanks, Blaise. Good to be with you. Listen, I think we are in the hangover phase. After Monday, everybody was so optimistic, and it was a great achievement to see those 20 living hostages come back was huge. But now we're getting into the really difficult period and of phase two, and trying to create some kind of new governing committee of non-Hamas Palestinians in Gaza. We have absolutely no clarity on who those Palestinians are going to be. Something like, I don't know, 12 to 20 people, mostly from the Palestinian diaspora, is my sense, who are going to come and try and be ministers in a new interim government in Gaza. And of course, you've got to form some kind of new security force that can impose law and order inside of Gaza and fill the vacuum that it now exists on who can come in and combat the remnants, any remnants of Hamas and Hamas's efforts, which inevitably look like they're going to come to try and reconstitute as a major force and player in Gaza, at least on the security side and behind the scenes on the governing side. And all of that is entirely unclear. I think those discussions are really just beginning to happen. And in the meantime, what's replaced the Israeli withdrawal to something like, now they're back to controlling 53% of Gaza, this so-called yellow line of the ceasefire. Hamas has emerged from its tunnels. A lot of them have put back on their uniforms, and they're now not only patrolling the streets of Gaza, trying to reassert their authority over the population, but we've seen these gruesome displays of revenge and retribution against fellow Gazans, whether it's clans that opposed Hamas, people that they are accused of working with Israel, being collaborators, being openly executed in the squares, public squares of Gaza, to great global consternation. But it's not clear anybody's going to do anything about it. And the more Hamas is able to fill that vacuum, obviously, it's a sign they have no intention of going anywhere, and they're going to continue to try and be a major force in Gaza, regardless of what is contained in Trump's 20-point plan.
Yeah, so John, you said we're in phase two, but it seems that phase one hasn't really even ended yet, and that the 20 living hostages have been returned, but only 10 of the believe 28 bodies have been returned. How much of a problem is that? How much of a sticking point is that? And why do you think we haven't seen more of the bodies returned?
Yeah, it's a huge sticking point. Obviously, for the families, it's everything to get closure, to receive those bodies, and to give them proper burial. And the Israelis and Israeli intelligence is obviously convinced Hamas is playing some games here. It was even allowed in the ceasefire that there were going to be certain bodies that, given the chaos that exists in Gaza on the ground, the levels of destruction, it may be hard to locate at least some of those bodies. It may take longer than the initial 72 hours that Hamas was given. But I think there is a conviction that there's a large number of bodies where Hamas still knows where they are and are slow walking the delivery of those bodies, as obviously some effort to retain leverage. While I get a sense from the Trump administration that whether or not they are believe that Hamas is slow rolling this, and it's hard to tell what the administration actually believes. they're a little more reticent to accuse Hamas of a major violation and to take action, retaliatory action against it to really punish it in the way I think the Israelis believe they've committed a violation here and they need to take action, maybe withholding humanitarian aid, not allowing that border with Egypt, the Rafah crossing, to open. This is all very unclear. But for the moment, I think the administration remains committed to trying to keep this process on track somewhat.
So how do we do that? I guess. So how does the U.S. do that? What leverage does it have? Are there other players other than Israel that can keep this process moving forward? And what happens if it doesn't? We saw this Truth Social post from President Trump yesterday saying that if Hamas continues to kill people in Gaza, we will go in and kill them. Is that a realistic threat? Is a restarting of the war possible just days after the ceasefire was announced?
Again, hard to believe. I think the president, subsequently walked back that threat that there won't be U.S. forces doing this. That if anybody will do it, it'll be somebody else. Most likely, one assumes the Israelis will be at some point given the green light, as Trump has promised he would if Hamas doesn't live up to its obligation to go back in and do what they need to do. There is this kind of, I don't know, a monitoring committee made up of some problematic actors, Turkey, Qatar, and less problematic, the Egyptians, who kind of are assembling teams that would go in. And one of their missions might be to work with Hamas to find those bodies as soon as possible, based at least in part on Israeli intelligence, maybe where they think those bodies are, to bring in heavy equipment, to move rubble, find people. The Turks, I understand, are offering up an entire team of people experienced in earthquake disaster. So that's a separate interesting fact. That the actors most involved right now, it looks like on the ground in Gaza, maybe even already on the ground, are actors like Turkey and Qatar, rather than more friendly states to Israel like the United Arab Emirates. So that's a whole different dynamic and question. How much is Israel willing to allow the likes of Turkey and Qatar to come in and play a major role in this ceasefire going forward and in the future of Gaza, given their own sympathies, deep sympathies, and cooperation with Hamas over the last several years and decades?
That is troubling indeed. Well, thanks, John, for breaking down where we are with the deal. Obviously, something we'll continue to monitor. So be sure to tune in next week for JINSA Snapshot. Thanks very much.
Great. Thank you, Blaise.